tutorial, I'm going to be showing you how to make your first Unity game. Everything in this video I learned from Unity's junior programming course. If you would like to take that course, you can find it, I'll link to it in the description, and you can learn it very fast. It took me about 2 hours to learn this information, and now I can easily make this stuff. So, first thing you want to do is download a Unity Hub. You can go to your browser, search up the Unity Hub download it, then download a version. I'm using 2022.3.22 F1 long-term support, and then go ahead and pick 3D. I'm using the 3D built-in render pipeline. You don't need to use the render pipeline one, it's just the one I have on my version. And now, give your project a name. I'm just going to call it tutorial game, and select a location for it. I already selected mine, and ignore the stuff below that. It's not really necessary. Just select something random there if it forces you to. And then click create project. It's going to take a bit to create your project. Just sit and wait while it creates your project. You can see this. It's going to show you the little loading bar. If this is your first time using Unity, I'm going to introduce you to everything that you're going to need to know about the UI, the navigation, and the interface. By the end of this, we're going to have a fully functioning game where we're going to drive down a road with our car and avoid obstacles. We're going to make 2 scripts and make some simple models in Unity. So yeah, I'll see you once the game is done. It should take about 5 minutes for me personally. So now our project has opened. It's not going to look like this for you. For you, it's going to look a little something like, see if where is it? Default. It's going to look a little something like this. Now, for the purposes of this video, just because it looks like this for you, I'm going to be doing it like this. So, if you would like to, you can switch your layout. I have my own saved one I like to use. It looks like this, but default's not bad. And now, you're going to look in, you're going to see all these buttons. You're not going to know what to do. Everything that we use, I'm going to explain in this video. So, first, right here, this is your scene. The scenes are where you keep your environment for your map and your player, your controllers, all of that. This is the assets. This is where you can view all your scenes and all the assets, prefabs, sound effects, anything that you want to put in here that you need to use for your game. This is where you're going to view it all. So, and then this is the console. It's where you're going to show all your logs, your debug.logs, your errors, warnings, anything like that. Now, my version, we got this. This is going to move your object. You can move it. This is going to rotate it. This is going to scale it. You can move the middle one, or you can move these ones to move it on the axes. And this is mostly helpful for 2D games, but it's there too. This is going to have all of them built into one. And the hand, you never really are going to need that, but it like drags it around. This is the grid. If you'd like to turn off the grid, you can do that. And now, we're going to get started on the actual tutorial. So, when you first create your project, you're going to see main camera. You can see right here what the camera's looking at. That's what you're going to see when you start the game from clicking this button. And then you're going to start with the directional light. If you would like to, you can keep it. If you delete it, it's going to be darker in your project. I'm just going to keep it for this. So, just to stay organized, I'm going to go here and create an empty object. I'm going to call this the map. We're going to create a very simple map. We're going to create a plane, and this is going to be our ground. I'm going to set the positioning 0, 0, and 0 for the position. So it's going to be centered at the center of our world. For the light, you can also see the axes here. See, so Y, up, Z, that way, and X is going to be that way, and then you could use these to navigate that. So for our directional light, I'm just going to put this at 0, 0, 0, like that, and our main camera, put 0, 0, and 0, and this, put it to 0, 0, 0. So now we have everything set to 0, 0, 0. Our directional light, we're going to move the Y up just so it's above our map. just gonna move it about 10 because we want it to be above. And then our camera, I'm gonna move this up 5, maybe less. I'm gonna move it 3, and on the z-axis, I'm gonna move it -3, -5 probably. And then for our rotation, instead of using these, we're gonna go ahead and hit the rotate tool, and then on this little red line, I'm gonna hold control and drag it down so the camera looks down a little bit. It's gonna look down at our vehicle thing right here. Now we're gonna go into our assets, create a folder, call this materials, and create another one and call this scripts. In our materials, we're gonna go in here, create material. This is just gonna be our grass. I'm gonna turn the smoothness down because it's a personal thing. It makes me mad when people have to smooth this up. So there's our grass. I'm gonna make it a little darker. Boom. So there's our grass. And on our plane, I'm actually gonna extend this because our road's gonna go down further. But I'm gonna go here. And so our road's gonna look a little bit like this. And now I'm gonna go ahead to this plane. Actually, map, 3D object, cube, and this is gonna be our actual physical road. Some new material, just call it black for the color of our road. And I'm gonna make it about there. Drag this onto our road. And make our road a little wider, a little longer. Just a little like that. However you want this to be, you can make your map. It doesn't have to be a straight line either. It can be however you would like. But I'm gonna make it like this. So now we have our road on top of our grass. And we're gonna make our player now. So we're gonna go back to assets. Create here first. This, call it player. Put the position to 0, 0, 1. So x0, y1, z0. It's gonna be right about there. Inside a player, 3D object, cube. We're gonna make a very simple car here. I'm gonna go out, new material, call it red, and I'll have a little bit of smoothness and a little bit of metallic. Make it a color that we want our car to be. If you don't know how to make actual models, go ahead and look that up. You can use Blender or Pro Builder, whatever you like. But our simple car is just gonna look a little something like this. So there's the base of our car, I guess. And then whatever this is called, the little part that comes up. And I'm gonna make an invisible collider in the front, so when we hit an object, it like goes up like this, and instead of just hitting it and then dragging to the side, it's going to go up over the car. So I'm going to go ahead and duplicate the cube and make this a little thinner and a little shorter. Rotate it, make sure I'm holding control so it stays on the grid. And just like this, when we hit something, it's going to go above our car. We're not going to be able to see in front of it, so we're not going to see it's like a little messed up. And now our box collider is what we're going to be editing. So we're going to turn off mesh render because we don't want to see it. Then our box collider, right here, we click this to edit it. And when we hit something, the object we hit is going to go over this. So I'm going to actually go ahead and make this there, right up. You also don't have to hold control when you do this, just to get more precise movements. I'm going to put it right about there, I'd say. And now we're going to move our player, and make sure at the bottom of your car is resting there onto the ground. And if you have wheels, make sure the wheels are resting on the ground. So there. Now we have our player. And we're going to go into our scripts folder and create a C# script. We're just going to call this player controller with a capital P and a capital C. Just like that. If you change the name, make sure you change it in the script also. I'll show you where. let this compile. Go ahead and open up our script. If you double click it, it's going to open it up in your preferred IDE. I'm just going to go ahead and do that. And if you change the name of the script in Unity, say like rename, make sure you go and change it right here so it matches, or else it might mess up your script. So the first thing we're going to do, and this is our player controller, so WASD will move it and everything like that. So first things first, I'm going to delete these. Then right here where it says public class, it's going to show you the class. Go ahead and click enter down here. Now you're here. So we're going to do public float speed. This is going to be the speed that we move at, so don't mind the errors that we have at the moment. It's going to be fine. Speed, and I'm going to set it to the default speed. You can change it in the editor. It's going to be 5. Then make sure you do a semicolon, because that's basically going to tell the computer that that is where that ends. And now we're going to do a public float turn speed. Make sure you're doing the exact capitalization I am here. Turn speed equals, I'm going to set it default to 5 because you can change that also in the editor. And then we're going to do public float horizontal input. Make sure you're copying the exact capitalization or else it won't work. Public float forward input or vertical input. I'm just going to call it forward. And don't put any number values after these ones. Now, once you have these ones, you might not see the 0 references, all this stuff like this, because of your IDE or text editor, code editor, whatever you want to call it, is going to be Microsoft Visual Studio by default. I'm using Visual Studio Code. Okay, leave the start method alone. Don't do anything there. And then once you get to the update, we're going to go ahead and leave a couple notes. So right here is our horizontal. So the 2 slashes is going to allow us to make a note. By the way, anywhere you put it in the script, horizontal input. And our horizontal input is going to be horizontal input equals input dot get axis horizontal. Make sure you put a semicolon so the computer knows we're done there. And then forward input like this. Forward input equals input dot get axis vertical, not forward, vertical. Put a semicolon. Now we have that. Now here, this is gonna be telling the computer to do a specific. You don't have to write all this instruction, but if you want to remember, then that will be good. It's gonna tell the computer to do a specific instruction using its transform property, which is the property on the object. If we click on this, while this compiles, hang on. If we click on it, the transform property is this right here, the position, rotation, and scale. Now, and it's running translate in whatever we else decide. And now transform, my spelling is not very good right now. Translate, and then vector 3 dot forward times time dot delta time and times speed times forward input and semicolon to tell it we're done. Now transform dot rotate this as in here or in the editor, and then this speed is going to be using this. Then these will be default whenever you click a key or anything like that. And then times horizontal input times time dot delta time and semicolon to finish it off. Then this should be, I believe, about it for this. So let this compile. Now we should be able to move our quote-unquote car here. So we're gonna load it. We're gonna see from the camera that we placed there, and if we make sure, check if our inputs are correct. Okay, just 1 second. I forgot to tell you guys this, but go to the player or the controller or the vehicle, whatever you want to call it. I'm just going to call it vehicle player, I guess. And drag your player controller script onto it. That is the most important part, and I forgot it. So now you can see these. If you want to change the speed of it, go ahead and change it here. I like 20 for that, 15 or so for that. So my personal speeds are speed 20, turn speed 15. And don't mess with these. These will automatically give themselves an input value when we press WA, S, or D on our keyboard. So as you see now, you can move it and turn it. Turn our car. I think the turn speed is a little slow and the speed is a little fast. I'm gonna mess with those. If you change them in the editor while playtesting, then they're going to change back after. So make sure you change them here. I'm going to set the speed to about 10 and the turn speed to about 25 because it turns way too slow. So now you can see this. But if we drive off our map, you can see it would just float forever. So the simple solution to that is go to add component and rigid body. So we're going to add a rigid body and our mass for our vehicle. I like to put it to about 1,000 to 10,000. So I'm going to put 10,000 or so there. So now when we go off our map, we're going to actually fall off our map. Like that. And because we added a rigid body, we're going to have to fix this collider here. So I'm going to go to this cube. This one. I'm gonna go to this one and edit our box collider so it doesn't push up how it was, and make this a little smaller, more precise, like this or so. Alright. So now we won't float. But now you may notice our camera is just sitting there while our vehicle moves. So we're actually going to make our camera follow our vehicle. Create C# script. This script is going to be called follow player. And open up this one by double clicking it. And this one's just going to make our camera follow our player. And once again, I'm going to delete these because I don't like them. I'm not a big fan. I already know what they do. So the first thing, below public class, right where we were before, we're going to go ahead and do oops, I do not know how I did that. Public game object player. Then we're going to have to select our game object after. Now we're going to do private vector3 offset equals new vector3. Then whatever we want to set this as, I'll set it in a second. But for now, don't put anything in here. We will in a minute. Now we go to update and transform dot position equals player dot transform dot position plus offset. And offset here, if we didn't have this, it would put our camera exactly where our car is and we would be inside of our car. But now that we add the offset, which we'll put the value here, it's going to move it behind the car. And to get our offset, we're using the global movement, by the way. And put your camera where you would like it, behind your car. And position here, just remember this, 0, 3, -5 for me. That's going to be that much behind my car. So we go back into here, 0, comma, space, 3, comma, space, I forgot, -5. Whatever you would like it to set it as, it's behind your car. But that's what I've got it as. So now, let this compile. We click on our main camera here, drag the follow player script onto it, where it says player. Grab your vehicle, or your player, or whatever you like to call it, into here, onto the follow player area right here, so it says your vehicle's name. Now, when we click play, our camera is going to follow our car. This isn't the best positioning for the camera, but it'll do for now. So now we're going to create our objects. Our objects aren't going to require any scripts or anything of that sort. So we're just going to make like something in the road that we hit and it will move it. Set our position, 0, 0, 0, and we're going to move this about down the road by 10 meters, or 10 on the z-axis. Scale it down a little, like that. Put it above the road a little, and give it a material. I'm just going to make this brown. It's going to look like a crate from the Unity Learn tutorial. Drag our material onto it. Now you can see it's a little down the road from this. And I'm going to call it, oops, obstacle. Then this collider, when the car collides with this, it's going to move this. But it won't move it if we don't add a rigid body. So I'm going to add a rigid body and set the mass of this to about 20. A lot less than our car. So our car is going to move this instead of this moving our car. And now we have one obstacle. We're going to do Control D and just drag it down so we get more obstacles. And the final one we're going to push off the map because it's fun and make it much bigger than the other ones. I'm just going to make this one red. So now we should have a fully functioning game. Our camera follows our car as we drive forward. We can move these out of the way. We can push these ones off the map also if you would like. Go here and push it off the map. Like that. Now we're going to push this one off the map. Maybe not. There we go. Now we fall off the map. So there, we have a fully functioning game made in only like a very short amount of time. Compared to most tutorials, you're not going to get this much done and learn this much in this amount of time. And if this helped, make sure to like and subscribe, as it will help me out a lot.